Hi everyone. So not too well, just the other day, but I've been kind of thinking about it. I said that I didn't want to do just straight up um, monthly wrap ups anymore. I mean, I might do one or two, but I've been wanting to kind of change things up because, you know, I'm doing some of the other stuff. I've been slowly adding more to my channel, such as my character videos and my a book and its movie thing, but the wrap-ups have pretty much stayed the same, and which is fine. I think my wrap-ups are, basic and fine and everything, but I've just kind of grown bored with just a straight monthly wrap-up. So I don't want to always wait until the end of the month to talk about books. I also don't want to feel like I have to hurry up with books to make a monthly wrap up. I just want, whenever I feel like I have enough books to talk about, or something important I want to say, that I would like to do that. So the first one that I'm going to start out with is actually talking about ones that I had either never reviewed or reviewed so long ago that I don't remember what I said or if the video is still up. So I was looking back and I think I found at least three or four books that I never really talked about. I may have mentioned them on my channel, but I've never really actually talked about them. Not fully like some of the other books. So the first book I want to talk about so these books I've read at least once, obviously, because it's going to be a sort of review. And these are the kind of books that I want to revisit, that I would like to reread at some point in the future. These are books that need a reread. So I might not have all the best details about them. I'm just going to tell you what I remember, what I thought, etc. And then maybe one day in the future these will reappear in a reread review. What's actually pretty terrible is the fact that I don't remember the authors for all of these. But I will try and put pictures in there. I lost my journal, like my llama notebook that I had where I was writing everything down, and I cannot find it. So I like to write things down because I can look at it and look at my notes. Just how I work. But the first book that I'm going to talk about that needs a reread, and I've gotten the graphic novel for it, and when I get the chance, I will definitely, I think, reread that version. Like, I've been wanting to, but we moved, I packed stuff, that got put away, and then I think I seen it again. I'm like, I have to put this somewhere because I have to read it. And that is Speak, which I know was by Laurie Hall Sanderson. So I remember wanting to read Speak in school, and I never got the chance, so I read it when I was a little bit older. And I feel it's one of those books that maybe I would have reacted to differently had I been at the age I wanted to read it versus when I did. Because I wanted to read it as a teenager, and I didn't read it until I was in my early 20s. So it wasn't a tremendous age gap, but I feel as if I had when I was in like the 8th, ninth grade, that I would have maybe seen things a little bit differently compared to um, when I did read it. I mean, I don't know. Maybe my personality, it would have been the same. I just didn't understand why her friends just kind of turned their back on her. Like they didn't bother to find out what happened. They were kind of, in my opinion, self-centered and everything. And maybe that's more of an adult way of thinking. You know, maybe if I was a friend in that situation, maybe I wouldn't be perfect and understanding. I don't know. But the story of Speak is about a girl named Melinda who is basically, I think they, and I'm going to say now, maybe this is a spoiler, I don't know, but the book has been out for like years now. And I don't remember if I read any kind of spoiler or if I just figured it out. It's kind of obvious. But something goes wrong at a party, we'll just say that. And Melinda ends up calling the police. And then people, her friends, are mad at her. And they don't want nothing to do with her. She's in high school now. She's an outcast. You know, people are mad because she called the cops. She got their friends and their families in trouble. But, like, none of them, I guess, really stopped to understand why this girl that was at the party with them just did this. And you feel bad for Melinda because she doesn't think she has anybody to turn to. She doesn't think she can tell what actually happened. And it's a slow read. It's kind of depressing, the issues that it brings up and everything. It's contemporary. There's nothing magical about it or whatever, but I think it's a good read. I think it may be an important read, and I definitely need to reread it. They did a was it a Lifetime movie, I think, on it. It wasn't actually that bad. It was pretty decent. The next book I'm going to talk about is Anyas Ghost, which is one of the first books that I read when I first moved out here to Minnesota. It's actually a graphic novel. It's pretty fun. It's kind of spooky-ish. It's about a girl named Anya, who her family actually are Russian immigrants. I think she herself was one too. I think so. I think her entire family came here from Russia, and she's trying to adapt to the American way of life. Her parents are kind of maybe old-fashioned, more into their older customs, and she's just trying to be normal. Not normal. She's trying to be like the average American. I don't want to make it sound like people of other places aren't normal. Adapting to the American way of life. And something happens. Now, like I said, this has been a while since I've read these books, but she ended up falling in this hole, and something happens. I really need to reread this again, because I read it once, like I said. It's a graphic novel. Graphic novels were still pretty new to me. But anyway, she comes in contact with a ghost, and the ghost tells her stories and, sadness and heartbreak, but then it starts to turn out that maybe the ghost isn't as truthful as she could be. I enjoyed it. I liked Anya's sarcasm and other things, and it really needs a reread. Because I enjoyed it the first time, and I know I'll enjoy it again. The next one I want to talk about is Living Dead Girl. I think I mentioned this maybe once or twice. The main thing I remember about this book is how much it disturbed me and the little amount of pages that it had. This one I kind of read fast because it is pretty disturbing. I don't remember if there was anything gory or anything, but it's definitely disturbing. Like I said, I read it pretty fast, and I think it's going to be a while, maybe, before I am ready to, talk about or read that book again. So, it follows a girl whose name I cannot remember. And she is kidnapped by this man. She's basically told that if, she goes to the cops or whatever, that he'll pay a visit to her family, and he'll kill her family and stuff like that. There is hints, probably more than hints, but like I said, this book was kind of disturbing, so I haven't really thought about that book. But there's hints of a sexual assault by this much older man to this young girl. He keeps her at a certain weight. He's put her I don't know if you call it hormonal kind of things or whatever, but basically he makes her take things and diet in a way that she doesn't like menstruate. And it's it's a twisted book. It's dark and it's disturbing and quite sad. The next book I'm going to talk about is one that follows kind of the same premise, almost, but I preferred it much more because it had, I guess, a fantasy element to it. And I know a lot of people don't like this. It is quite disturbing. It is quite sad. But I thought there was some beautiful passages in it, quotes and everything. And that is The Lovely Bones by Alice Sebold. For the longest time, this was actually my favorite book. And it's still up there, in the standalones. So I saw the movie first, and then I went to read the book from the library. And the opening became one of my first favorite opening lines. And it basically tells a story of a girl named Susie who is lured into this underground thing by her neighbor, and she is assaulted and murdered by him. And she learns that he has done this to other girls, and it shows her and the in-between, her afterlife, and kind of what happens tears her family apart. I don't remember if the movie got into all that about the affairs, the anger, how it literally destroyed her family. And that definitely needs a reread. The final one I'm going to be talking about is Gathering Blue. So Gathering Blue is actually a companion novel to The Giver. So originally, I believe Lois Lowry wrote Gathering Blue as just his own novel, and then kind of realized how it matched or paralleled her Giver novel. However, this one is quite different from The Giver. For instance, they do see color. They do choose who they marry, if I remember correctly. And there is a spiritual or magical kind of element thing to it, kind of like how The Giver was. However, there are other things. The world is much more cruel, much more barbaric. You have a world where women aren't allowed to read. people who are disabled are cast out into the wilderness. The main character, Kira, she has a twisted leg, and her mother kind of fought for her life, basically. She's never known her father because he got killed out in the wilderness. And she's kept alive because she has this great skill in weaving. And of course, much like other dystopian novels, she learns secrets about her society and everything. But it was completely different than The Giver. I prefer The Giver, but it was kind of interesting because this world is where The Giver is more advanced, but like their emotions and everything are suppressed. These people, are allowed to like express emotions and allowed to have color and all that. But like I said, there's other things they aren't allowed to do. It's almost like they have certain freedoms, but yet their way of thinking is very backwards, very in the Dark Ages, basically. And I need to reread that one again because I thought it was okay the first time. I thought it was interesting, but I think maybe upon a reread I might like it a little bit more than I did before. But yeah. So this video is getting long, and I'm going to stop there. Those are books that I need to reread. Anyways, thanks for watching, guys. Bye-bye.